Good morning. I'm going to call a meeting to order. My name is Jim Begley. I'm the Vice Chair of the M.U.D Board of Directors. I'm pinch hitting for Tanya today, who's out ill. Welcome everybody to the public hearing and committee hearings this morning on May 3rd, 2023. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive. And a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Number one item on the agenda is our safety briefing. I'd like to invite our Vice President of Safety, Security, and Business Continuity, Shane Hunter, to provide a briefing regarding protocol for all individuals in attendance at the board meeting today in the event of an emergency. Mr. Hunter.
Good morning, everyone. Shane Hunter, Vice President of Safety and Security. As we all saw this morning, normal entry and exit is through the rear of the room. However, we do have another exit here on this side of the room for us to use. Should be noted on the hallway outside this door, you'll find the closest first aid kit and fire extinguisher. A little farther down that hallway, you'll also find the closest AED on the right-hand side near the restrooms. With the location of the AED in mind, can we have a show of hands who's CPR and AED trained in the room? All right, thank you. Should there be a medical emergency, 911 will be called by our security staff and escorted into this space for patient treatment. It is severe weather season, so we should also be aware that in this hallway will be our severe weather shelter. None is anticipated for today or forecast, and if we need to evacuate this space, we'll use this door on this side of the room, take two lefts, reconvene in the garage for an accountability. That concludes the safety briefing.
Thank you, Shane. Roll call, please.
Sidzik. Here. McGowan. McGowan.
Here.
Howard. Here. Kavanaugh.
Here.
Begley.
Here.
Cook. Friend.
Here.
Open Meetings Act notice. I'd like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available on the wall in the back of the boardroom. We'll begin with the public hearing on the proposed updates on the billing price book, which will be presented by Manager of Financial Planning and Analysis, Stephanie Lemons. This will be followed by an invitation for the public to comment. Ms. Lemons, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Stephanie Lemons, Manager of Financial Planning and Analysis. I'll be discussing the information behind tab number 5, which addresses updates to the billing price book. There are 4 documents behind this tab. The first item is the presentation, which will be displayed on the screen and the focus of the discussion this morning. The next item is the memo submitted to the committee outlining the changes being proposed. Behind that is the detailed listing of the proposed prices. And finally, the resolution that you'll be voting on in the regular board meeting later this morning. So starting on page 2 of the presentation, I would like to provide some background information on this process. The billing price book establishes prices for various services and materials that we provide to our customers and contractors beyond the monthly fees charged for providing gas and water to their home and businesses. The prices are typically updated annually, and with your approval, the prices will become effective on June 1st. The prices are generally structured to recover the district's costs. The pricing includes the current average hourly wage rate of personnel performing the service, the average time required to complete each task, and the cost of materials sold or installed as part of the service. There are certain exceptions to this approach. First, certain items are not cost-based, but rather service fees that are intended to discourage undesirable behavior. An example of this is the service diversion charge. And then there are also a few services that are intentionally priced below cost. And one of the reasons that we have typically done this is to assist customers who are facing financial hardship. For example, the turn-on charge for collections account priority service is priced below cost. In this case, we are turning on service for a customer after it has been turned off for non-payment. And I'll talk more about that fee in a few minutes. Moving to page 3. This chart provides some context around the size of the revenue generated from the fees we're discussing today. In 2022, the district's consolidated gross revenue was $506.8 million. And as indicated by the yellow slice on the chart, revenue generated from the billing price book items total about $4.5 million, or 1% of total revenues. And although this is a relatively small percentage of total revenue, we conduct a thorough review each year to ensure that our pricing methodologies are accurate and that prices charged for these services are reasonable. I'd just like to take a minute to recognize Beth Van Tiger for her work on this project. Beth is a senior financial analyst in the accounting department. The accounting department coordinates this annual review, and we work closely with many others across the district who provide input on these services that they perform on a daily basis to review and update the pricing. We'll now turn to the summary of frequently billed services on page 4. The first item addressed is field services labor. Many of the services we provide are performed by field service technicians. So these labor rates are a component of several other prices throughout the book. We are proposing to hold the rate the same for these labor rates, with the base rate for 30 minutes remaining at $121 and the hourly rate after the first half hour at $176. Item number 2 is related to various charges to turn on gas and/or water services. Items A and B are referred to as regular turn-on fees, either scheduled or unscheduled priority. We're proposing to increase these rates 2% to $100 and $126 respectively. The 2% increase will assist the district in recouping the cost of this service, which is priced below cost. Item 2C, collection accounts priority, is a turn-on charge I mentioned earlier related to collection accounts. This price is below our cost, but will help to reduce the burden of many of our customers who are experiencing financial difficulties. We're proposing to hold this fee flat at $75. The next item, number 3, is the price for the installation of a 3/4-inch water meter with ERT. These meters are installed in newly constructed homes and are typically charged to the builder and not directly to the homeowner. The increase of $6, or 1.7%, is driven by an increase in labor costs. This slight increase is due to the amount of time required to install these meters as we train new technicians to perform this work. The last item, number 4, is the fee for the tapping and inspection of a water main with a 1-inch corporation, and we're proposing to leave this price unchanged at $439. On the next page, I would like to discuss a few of the more significant pricing increases being proposed. This is defined as those increasing more than 15% or more than $200. And the price increases are all driven by the rising cost of materials due to continued inflation and supply chain demands. And one item to note is that changes in prices year over year could result in increase or decreases in subsequent years. These taps require the use of fittings made of copper and brass, and the prices that we are paying for these products are consistent with published industry data, such as the Producer's Price Index. And addressing these items specifically, we'll begin on page 5, which includes those we recommend increasing by greater than 15%, one of which also exceeds the $200 threshold. Item 1 is the cost of the taps on PVC mains for a 12 by 1-inch tap. This price includes the cost of materials as well as labor for the field service technicians who perform this work. The increase is driven by the rising cost of materials for this main size. Item number 2 reflects the cost of the large water taps on all mains for a 16 by 2-inch tap. The price includes the cost of materials as well as field service technician labor who perform this work. This increase is driven by the rising cost of materials for the tap on this main size of main. Turning to page 6, this reflects prices we are recommending increasing by greater than $200, but less than 15%. Item number 1 contains pricing for a 4-inch compound meter with remote, which is installed by a plumber. This is the price we charge for the materials alone. Therefore, the increase is directly related to the price the district pays to purchase these products. In addition, we typically report to any new billing item being proposed. And this year, we are not recommending any new fees to include in the billing price book. Finally, following board approval, we will place the revised billing price book on the external website with an announcement that the fees will change effective June 1st, and this will allow customers and contracts to review pricing in advance of the June 1st effective date. Do you have any questions?
Seeing none, hearing none. Stephanie, thanks for that great presentation.
Thank you.
Is there any member of the public who would like to address the board on the changes that have just been discussed? Seeing none, hearing none. We'll go on to the next item on the agenda, construction operations. Vice President of Water Operations, Mike Koenig, will review the capital expenditures. Mike, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Mike Koenig, Vice President of Water Operations. This morning, I'll be presenting items located behind tab number 6 of your board packets. And I have 9 items up for consideration for the committee today, and I'll be highlighting 4 of those items. First of which is the contracted hydrant painting. These are our fire hydrants. They're public safety devices used primarily for firefighting, also for water distribution service and maintenance, as well as water quality. We have, as of the end of April, we have 29,204 hydrants in the system. We're shooting for an approximate 10-year paint cycle on these hydrants. The hydrant paint scheme serves as a communication to the fire department to indicate the hydrant capacities, i.e. pipe sizes that they're connected to. This also visually demonstrates to our district, to our district customers and our regulators that the district's commitment to proper system maintenance. And I guess I'd throw that up there. If there's any other comments, I'll pause here for a second. If not, I'll move on to the next item. Next item is boiler system upgrades at our Platte West. Oh, sorry, Mr. Begley.
I'm sorry, this is Mike McGowan.
Oh, Mr. McGowan.
I thought we always had the summer help, schools help do the painting of those hydrants.
That is correct. We would supplement a contract with the summer help. Usually we would use 1 or 2 of those summer help to assist in the hydrant painting effort. This year, logistically, that was not able to be accomplished in the summer help group. So we are proposing this year to go only the contracted route to reevaluate throughout the season here to see if we can re-engage the summer help into this effort next year, as this is an ongoing effort.
Okay, many years ago, my son worked at M.U.D for the summer, and he was assigned to paint hydrants. And one day he came home with yellow boots.
Yes, that tends to be the product of the effort.
So no summer help doing hydrants this year.
Not in 2023.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. The next item is boiler system upgrades at our Platte West water treatment facility. These existing boilers are original to the plant. They were actually installed in 2006 and commissioned just before the plant went online in 2007. The existing boilers now have a high cost of ownership and require expensive control and burner replacement efforts to basically keep them up and running with an estimated cost of roughly $400,000. In lieu of that effort, we're going to replace these with new boilers that are much more efficient. They'll also include a 25-year warranty with these new units.
Mike, a quick question on
Yes.
that. Is the 16 or 17-year life cycle of the current boilers, is that about average? I noticed the new have 25. I'm just...
Yeah, depending on what you get for a boiler these days, the 25-year manufacturer warranty is a very generous or a good warranty. This time, going around through this with the new system, typically you get much less than that, less than a 10-year warranty on that. And if we were to refurbish these old units for that roughly $400,000, we're still, we'll still be saddled with the boiler tubes, which will eventually need to be replaced, as well as some of the other ancillary equipment that goes along with that.
So the 25-year warranty is just for the heat exchanger,
That's correct.
not for the rest of the components?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Continuing on, The third item I want to highlight is the professional services to design the new electrical building and new generator at the Platte South Water Treatment Facility. This is beginning the plant's capital improvement plan, or CIP, that we'll be referring to. This CNA includes the design of the new electrical building, new switchgear, new standby power, and to connect the existing well field power loop to the new gear and create a dedicated distribution loop out in that well field. HDR is selected due to their extensive knowledge of the Platte South electrical from their previous projects that they've had at the plant, including their design of the generator automation, that well field electrical design, as well as the automatic transfer switch that they've been involved in. And if there's no questions on that, I'll move to the last item that I'm going to highlight today. And that is the replacement of portions of the CC1, or Construction Center 1 roof at our 63rd location, Ops Center and Construction Center. So this is for the Construction Center 1. The roof section was last replaced in 2004. The new roof will be replaced with a 90 mil EPDM. That's ethylene propylene diene monomer. The new roof will have a 30-year warranty on it. The total roof square footage for the CC1, or Construction Center 1, is 153,000 square feet, but the portion that is being replaced is 73,600 square feet. This was originally budgeted to be replaced, in 2019, but due to some settlement issues that the building has observed, that we've gone ahead and held off on replacing these portions until that settlement subsided or stopped. So with that, that's all that I have to highlight for the committee.
Any further questions for Mike Koenig? Thank you, Mike.
Very good, thank you.
Next, Vice President of Gas Operations Jim Knight will review the proposed LNG capital improvement project supplemental capital expenditure approval.
Good morning. Jim Knight, Vice President of Gas Operations. You can find my letter behind tab 7. This request is for a supplemental capital expenditure authorization increase of $10.1 million, or 13.3%, for the LNG capital improvement project, which increases the capital authorization from $75.9 million to $86 million. The original amount of $76 million was approved in February of 2021. There are 3 primary reasons for this 13% increase. The first is a scope change of $4 million. This was communicated to the board back in October of 2021. This was to replace the valve pretreatment skid and the regeneration heater, which are both parts of the liquefaction system. Board approval was not required at this time, as per district procedures, the updated estimate of $79 million was still within 10% of the original authorization, and therefore board approval was not required at that time. The second reason for this supplemental request is the construction cost increases we've seen on this project. The mechanical, electrical, and civil contractor installation cost is projected to be $5.2 million higher than budget. CHI, our engineer, procure, and construct contractors, reach out to multiple contractors, in some cases 10 plus for a single discipline, to get qualified at competitive bids. At the end of the day, most of the time we only end up getting 1 or 2 bids. This may have led to some of the higher bids that we saw. And also, there is a significant amount of large projects in the Omaha area. I mean, everyone sees the large data centers when you go down Highway 50. And also, OPPD is currently building 2 large natural gas-fired power plants The estimated cost of both those projects combined is $650 million, so there is a big pull on labor in the area right now, which is impacting our project. The third reason for the supplemental request is additional construction management services from CHI of $0.9 million. Installation and construction of the vaporization equipment was extended from 12 months to 24 months due to supply chain problems and slower than expected construction progress. M.U.D. and CHI agreed to extend the construction schedule. From 1 to 2 years to not jeopardize the LNG vaporization availability during our previous winter. Our new vaporization system with the increased capacity of 150,000 decatherms per day. It's a 90,000 increase from what we have right now. Will be operational for the winter of 23-24. And are there any questions?
Jim, it's my understanding that OPPD will have a very large IT center on the grounds there. If there's any chance for any efficiencies with our staff and our IT needs out there, it might be a good place to investigate any cost sharing on the grounds there. So there may not be.
Okay.
But that's, I just learned that the other day. So, I mean, their IT center is going to be huge there.
Wow, okay.
So could be some opportunities.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I have one, Jim.
Go ahead, Mike.
This increase, will we have our bond that we're going to issue for this? Will that be increased accordingly? Do we have the room in our bond plans to do that?
I think I'll have Mr. Myers help answer that question.
Good morning, Mark Myers, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Director McGowan, the bonds that were issued in March of 2022 generated proceeds of $70 million toward this project. At that time, we intentionally bonded less than the estimated amount because there were some contingencies included in the estimate. We've seen with these rising costs and the things that Jim explained that the cost will now exceed that number. So we will include some additional bond proceeds in the next issuance that occurs. We had planned for a bond issuance in October of 2023 to fund the construction center, the new construction center. And with that, we had planned to tack on some additional funding for this. We knew we'd needed some. This is a little more than we'd originally anticipated, but we'll ultimately end up adding about $16 million to that bond issuance to cover the remainder of this cost.
Is that bond issuance for the construction center planned for this October?
Yes, that was included in the budget. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When do we go out to the underwriters and tell them how much we need?
We're working through that now. We've had some discussions with both Piper Sandler and with Gilmore Bell about the process and the steps needed to get that initiated. We've also had meetings internally to discuss the best estimates of the cost of the construction center and determining the financing needs for that. So it will be within the next few months. We'll be presenting that information and discussing the financing timeline.
Okay, and will that affect our budget at all, having a higher bond issuance? Will we have to increase our budget for next year, obviously?
It will increase the debt service cost to some extent for the amount above what we had originally planned for. The component of the debt service costs associated with the LNG plant are recovered through the gas cost adjustment component of rates, whereas the construction center side would be covered under the margin and other components of the rate. That side, we haven't just come up with the final plan as to the total cost that will be financed on the construction center side, but this piece that we're adding for the LNG plant will be recovered through the GCA component.
So with the GCA coverage on that, it won't impact anything more than what we've already planned except the actual GCA, which is a flow through to our customers.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Mark. Next item, Director of Plant Engineering Stephanie Hen will review the acceptance of contracts and payment of final estimates.
Good morning, Stephanie Hen, Director of Plant Engineering. I'll be addressing the finals letter this morning behind tab number 8. We have a short letter this month. We're finaling 2 projects. Both are plant type projects. One was a refurbishment of our existing skylights at our Platte South Water Treatment Plant. And the other project on there is the design and construction of services for a deep well cavern pump replacement at our propane air cavern at our LNG site. Both of these projects came in within 1% to 2% of the proposed costs. And that's all I was going to touch on this morning, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Yes. Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services, John Zellers, will now review the bids on materials and contracts. John.
Good morning. John Zellers, Vice President of Procurement and Enterprise Services. Bids on materials and contracts may be found under tab 9. There are several items that I plan to discuss this morning, where the first may be found in the middle of page 2. In February, we went out for bids for 2 medium-sized trenchers in which no bids were received. Vermeer is the only manufacturer of the trencher specified, and upon speaking to the local dealer, they indicated that they were only allocated 1 trencher for 2023, and that particular unit was sold. Transportation found 2 used trenchers that met our specifications at a Vermeer dealer in Ohio. Both units had low usage, had been serviced and inspected by Vermeer, and were available for immediate delivery. We are asking for ratification of the purchase of the 2 used medium-duty trenchers. These units will replace 2 trenchers in our fleet that have reached a point where they are no longer economical to maintain. And that is a picture of one of the used units that we purchased. The board may recall in August of last year, we're now on page 3. The board may recall in August of last year approving 29 Ford Transit vans from Anderson Ford under State of Nebraska contract. We were recently informed that Anderson Ford has 5 additional vans that are immediately available, in which they will extend last year's pricing. The 2023 budget includes the purchase of vans. Purchasing the 5 vans available by Anderson Ford will avoid a model year price increase as forecasted by dealers. The remaining vans budgeted for 2023 will be bid later in the year when manufacturing order windows open up. The purchase of the vans is recommended for approval. We are asking for the approval for the purchase of 4 FDR hydraulic breakers from Murphy Tractor to be used for 4 new Kubota R430 tractors we have on order. The purchase of these units will match the units we currently have in the fleet and are currently used by our crews. In 2022, we solicited bids for breakers in which Murphy Tractor was the only bidder that met specifications. At that time, we evaluated the FDR breaker against others, which none met our expectations. The bid from Murphy Tractor is recommended for approval. The next item is for the purchase of 9 analyzers for various water pump stations. These analyzers measure alkalinity, chlorine, pH, and temperature. The board may recall approving analyzers for 7 pump stations last June. Swan was the successful bidder at that time and has provided slightly more favorable pricing for the 9 units being requested today. Purchasing these analyzers will finalize the replacement project and provide for consistency among all pump stations. We are recommending that the bid from Swan be approved. We received a bid from Lifestyle Window to install blackout shades at HQ on the 2nd and 3rd floor. These shades will mitigate issues we have experienced with sun glare that impact employees' ability to see computer monitors and will help regulate and stabilize building temperatures during the summer months. Blackout shades are currently installed in similar areas on the 1st floor and have been effective. Lifestyle Window provided the shades currently in the building. To assure continuity in product, quality, and functionality, their bid is recommended. The last item on this page is for concrete and asphalt pavement repairs related to various construction sites. Last May, the board approved a 3-year agreement with Burrell Enterprises to perform this work, in which each year's pricing would be negotiated taking into account changes in the market such as labor and material costs, and annually brought back to the board for approval. This is year 2 of the agreement. Burrell Enterprises continues to perform well, and their bid represents a 3.7% increase from last year's pricing and is recommended for approval. The last item may be found on page 4. As Mike discussed, we paint fire hydrants every year. We are recommending entering into a contract with Bus Lincoln to paint 25 fire hydrants in 2023. Bus Lincoln has painted fire hydrants for the district since at least 2010. Bus Lincoln's bid is approximately 7% more than last year's pricing and is about 3% less than the engineer's estimate for this work. That's all I have for you this morning, but happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Vice President of Engineering, Masania, will now review the proposed amendment number 1 for professional services to design water main for Phase 1B of the Gemini Development Project. Masa.
Good morning. Masania, Vice President of Engineering. I'll be covering the next 2 tabs. Behind tab 10 is the amendment for the professional services agreement on the design of the main extension for the Gemini development near 144th and Fairview Road in Sarpy County. The agreement is with the engineering firm Olson. The design work is for $10.5 million main extension project, so pretty substantial there, and it involves about 3.5 miles of 16-inch, 24-inch, and 36-inch water mains. The requested additional design fee is in the amount of $37,500 to address more design work based on some developer acquiring more property and some replatting that happened with that. Further, some plan revisions were necessary to address some City of Papillion permitting feedback, as well as some additional easement staking that's required. This is mostly paid by the developer, and the district's share is estimated to be less than 8% of the total amount, or around $2,700. Behind tab 11 is the amendment for professional design services with HDR for the Southeast Bellevue main extension. This is a major main extension project as well. This includes 5 miles of 16-inch, 24-inch, and 30-inch water mains with a preliminary opinion of probable cost of over $20 million. The requested amendment includes field work to determine exact locations of other buried infrastructure, including fiber optic lines. So to help with the design, ensure it's an accurate design, the consultant is going out there and vacuum excavating these potential conflicts. This will ensure a better bid on the construction work as the designs are more accurate. In addition to the field work, this amendment also includes a design task to add a 48-inch gate valve to the existing 60-inch transmission main in 36th Street near Platteview Road. The additional valve will improve system resiliency by having better isolation capabilities of that 60-inch transmission main, which is a primary feed out of the Platte South water treatment plant. The work is being coordinated with the future Platteview Expressway project. That's at least a few years out. So a lot of this design work is coordinated with local and state agencies. The work is the additional design fee amount of $57,770 will be split with the developer and the district. Primarily, we're covering the cost of the added valve, which is about $26,650, or about 46% of the total additional work. And that's all I have to cover. I'd be glad to take any comments or answer any questions. Thank you.
Do we want to go with Mr. Kubat right now?
Yeah, please. Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel. We're already experiencing a few audibles with Vice Chair Bagley handling things. Could I request an accommodation for timing purposes and allow Mr. Kubat to proceed now with tab 15, if that's all right, Rick?
That sounds fine. Is Rick here?
Yes. Rick Kubat, Government Affairs. I believe on tab 15 should be the legislative report. We want to touch on 4 items today. Starting on page 1 at the bottom is LB 122. That is Senator Bosselman's bill that makes substantive changes to the One Call Act. What it does is it sets up a hit court to review investigations by the State Fire Marshal's Office. That bill was amended onto a transportation priority bill, LB 683, and it has been placed on final reading, which makes it almost certain to pass and to be signed into law. Also on that, on page 2 would be Senator McDonald's bill, LB 161. That's a bill that would prohibit employers from requiring employees to wear electronic communications devices. The district and many others informed Senator McDonald's office of concerns related to district property, such as vehicles that we track, along with cell phones. There was an amendment offered on that bill that would remove all property, employer property, from the provisions of that bill. That bill's been placed on general file. Senator McDonald attempted to amend LB 161 onto LB 683 and was unsuccessful in that attempt. In all likelihood, LB 161 will be carried over into the next session. It appears to be dead in terms of trying to get it passed this year. Then moving on to page 3 at the bottom, Senator Brewer offered a bill to prioritize resources for the protection of critical infrastructure utility workers during a civil defense emergency. That civil defense emergency would have to be declared by the governor. That bill has also been amended onto a different vehicle, being LB 191. And as of yesterday, it was placed on final reading, making it look in all likelihood that that bill too will be signed into law. And then the last item I wanted to bring up is LB 613. That is a bill that was brought forward by Senator McDonald on behalf of the district. And what it would do is appropriate $45 million of state general fund dollars for lead service line replacements, of which 10% could be used for a labor training program. That bill has been amended into the governor's mainline appropriation bill that was introduced by Senator Arch, being LB 814. That is the first bill that's on the agenda this morning, being the governor's mainline appropriation bill. And now, as it was amended into the governor's bill, it would now seek a $10 million appropriation, of which 10% or $1 million could be used for a labor training program. So essentially what it's going to do is provide the district with $9 million to assist us with our lead service replacement program. The governor's mainline appropriation bill is one of the best vehicles you can be in. That's the bill that makes numerous, it's 171 page, and it makes numerous appropriations for state government. It's a good vehicle to be in. I'm optimistic about where we're at, but again, it's on general file, and they're going to start debate on that bill here shortly after 9 o'clock. Very thankful. Megan Walter came down and provided testimony on it, and there's a group of about 10 M.U.D employees that have been meeting on a regular basis to work through all the issues with lead service line replacement, and definitely grateful for their support, help, and assistance as we work forward trying to address the fact that the district has somewhere around an estimated 16,000 lead service lines, all costing about $8,000 to replace, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood in today's dollars of $128 million of collective liability for property owners. Again, those service lines are owned by the homeowner, but there are some expectations that water utilities nationwide make a concerted effort to get those lead service lines replaced going forward. So that's a quick update. Happy to answer any questions that any of you might have.
Hey, Rick, did our position change on any of these?
They did not.
Okay, thank you.
So it just needs to be placed on file, Director Kavanaugh.
Thank you.
Rick, thanks for all you do down there. I know that's not an easy session. What day are we? Just a general question. What day are we in this session?
We are on day 71, meaning
90.
we've got 19 business days remaining.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Rick? Rick, thank you. Appreciate your time and all your efforts.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll now have Masa come back up to talk about services and extensions. Masa, thanks for allowing yourself to be interrupted.
No, I apologize. On that audible, I either false started or had a delay game.
I just hope I didn't fumble the snap, man.
All right. Go to the main extensions tab behind tab 12. This month we have, I'm sorry, I should have been getting myself in order back there as I was waiting. Behind tab 12, you'll find the main extensions letter. The impact of the 6 water main extensions this month includes water service and fire protection to 253 residential lots, 9 multifamily, 41 commercial lots, and 8 outlots. These projects are located in subdivisions 1, 2, 4, and 7. All have requested M.U.D. gas service with the exception of number 3, R&R Commerce Park South, which is located outside of our gas service territory. I'd like to just highlight one of the main extensions, the Crossroads development listed as number 5 on page 3. This project was previously approved by the board on May 4th, 2022 as a WCC project. A WCC stands for Water Construction Contract, and this is where the district advertises and bids the work for the developer. The bids for this project were taken in April of 2022, and since then the bid and associated contracts have expired, and the developer was not ready for the main installation. As a follow-up to the expired contract, the developer decided to use the WCD main extension method. WCD in this case stands for Water Construction Developer, and this is where the developer negotiates pricing with one of our approved water main contractors, and this helps expedite some of the schedule there. The work is anticipated to be completed this fall, and that is all I have to cover for main extensions.
Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Masa. Next, for personnel, Vice President of Human Resources, Bonnie Savine, will now review employee wage and/or salary increases and ratifications, and will also cover a second agenda item, the collective bargaining agreement. Bonnie.
Good morning. Bonnie Savine, Vice President, Human Resources. Before I speak on tab 13, I would like to report employee counts for the end of April. On April 30th, 2022, there were 825 regular full-time employees and 3 regular part-time employees, equaling 828 regular employees. Ending April 2023, we had 877 regular full-time employees and 4 regular part-time, for a total of 881 regular employees. We also had 8 temporary part-time employees. That was comprised of 3 temporary part-timers and 5 interns. We will be onboarding our summer hires with the largest group starting May 22nd and the rest just after the beginning of June. So let's take a moment to review jobs actively in the job placement process. 5 jobs have a requisition that's routing through the approval process. 15 jobs are currently posted. 9 of those are full-time employment positions. 5 of those are intern positions. That equals 14, so somebody's math is going to trick me up here. We have 4 that are posted internally only, and we have 11 that are posted externally only. We do have 8 jobs that are in the application review or interview stages, and we also have 4 jobs that have 4 selected candidates. They are working through background check and other onboarding steps. Okay, we'll move on to tab 13. Here you will find the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications letter. Human Resources is recommending the Board of Directors approve wage or salary increases for 8 employees this month. 2 OAC employees are recommended for a wage increase due to a promotion under the normal job posting process. Under the SPA section, 1 OAC employee and 5 SPA employees are recommended for a salary increase for promotion in SPA jobs. Additionally, there are 3 SPA new hire ratifications listed on pages 3 and 4. Those new hires joined the legal, the engineering, and the information technology departments. Are there any questions on that letter? Okay. And on to tab 14. Behind this tab, you will find the recommendation to authorize the president to enter into a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement between the district and the IBEW 1521. As noted in the letter, as well as during our briefings to the board, the bargaining teams participated in significant negotiations over several months. Both bargaining teams showed commitment to the process, and that was evident by the time dedicated to meetings, information gathering and exchange, array surveys, and exchange of numerous proposals. On April 6th, a tentative agreement between the bargaining teams was reached. Members of the IBEW 1521 voted on April 13th, and a majority vote approved the tentative agreement. If approved by the board today, the new agreement will have an effective date beginning April 1, 2023, proceeding through March 31st, 2026. The major proposed components of the new agreement are outlined in my letter. Included are recommendations for annual general wage increases, as well as changes to paid sick time and 457B deferred compensation plan match provisions, a new vacation sellback provision, increases to some pay premiums, among changes to several other provisions in the agreement. The letter behind tab 14 also recommends authorization to adjust the 2023 salary structure and general increases for the SPA employee group as of May 1st, 2023. This authorization will allow management to recalculate the 4.5% increase effective on March 1st, replacing it with a 5% increase effective May 1st. SPA employees that received a general increase in 2023 would be eligible for this small adjustment starting May 1st, and the change in salary will not be paid retroactively to March 1st. And management recommends employees in the SPA group be eligible for a few identified benefit or premium payment changes. Those are outlined in the letter, and that will result in all regular district employees being aligned in those areas. I will turn it over to Mr. Mendenhall for a few words on behalf of the district's bargaining team, and then I can answer questions you have.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. Mark Mendenhall, Senior Vice President, General Counsel. I wanted to take a few moments here just to compliment the teams. I'm trying to think of additional sports or football analogies here. One thing that struck me is media reports, in my opinion, tend to focus on negatives associated with labor and union, or the disputes between the two. And right now, I think we will start to experience maybe some downfalls with our favorite sitcoms, with the Writers Guild of America. And then I saw a story yesterday with pilots going on strike. This is not that. This, I think, is a success story. I think it's a success story largely because of the people that were involved. And it's not like we walked into a room back in August where we all agreed. We did not. The two teams got into a room every other week, then weekly, then twice a week, and there were additional conversations kind of between there where we debated, we argued. Some might have wanted to pull their hair out of bed. I'm looking at Tom, but looks like he already did. But we found compromise. We found a resolution that benefits the ratepayer, that benefits our mission, that benefits the members of 1521, as well as just overall the employees here. And I think that is in large part because of the people. They were willing to listen. We had thoughtful debate. We had, I think, genuine consideration of the issues that were facing them being the members of 1521, as well as struggles amongst our customers to pay their bills. And so with that, I just wanted to recognize certainly Bonnie was critical to the team. Jessica Kraft, our manager of employee relations, Stephanie Lemons here sitting in the second row. Tom, let me start with Terry, the president of 1521, Terry Kroll, Tom, Todd, the gentleman here in the third row, were all part of the negotiations. There were others on 1521's team, and so I just wanted to open the doors a little bit for you all to appreciate the discussions and the effort, and I know many of you know it because you've gone through this, but I just wanted to take a moment to recognize them. And Terry, if you'd like, I'd ask you to come up, and if you'd like to share any statements, you're welcome to now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I wrote my notes down, so anyway, on behalf of IBEW 1521, I want to thank the district's negotiating committee for their contribution to our collective effort in reaching this mutually beneficial agreement. In light of the current economic challenges, this was no small task. The district has a great partner in IBEW 1521, and we appreciate your support for this contract. I would also like to thank you for your representation of the ratepayers, recognition of skilled union labor, and the continued commitment to delivering safe and reliable gas and water to our community. Last but not least, I would like to thank our negotiating committee for all their hard work. Tom Todd, Mike Lozano, Mark Greyer, Forrest Ruse, who couldn't be here today, Kathy Cox as well is not here today, and Jerry Anderson. Thank you.
Questions or comments on that tab?
I just want to congratulate everybody for this process. I've been on both sides of this for many, many years. It's a stressor for the organization, especially for the employees. It's a source of frustration. The longer it goes without a contract, the harder it is for people. And I think it's a testimony to everybody involved in this. There was no gamesmanship. It's straightforward, honest bargaining, which is always appreciative. And if it's not, we always want to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
And I'd like to say, I think it's the key to these things always is people working together. And so it's really heartening to me to see that people can sit down, have a dialogue, and respect one another's, each person's side, each person's task. Because without any of us, we'd get nothing done. So thank you so, so much.
Job well done, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That deserves a round of applause.
Now to our sponsor.
We are at, since Rick already spoke, we are at the public comment for the committee meeting. Are there any members of the public in attendance today who would like to address the board? Seeing or hearing none. Do any board members have any further comments about anything discussed in committee this morning?
Well, I would like to add our congratulations to Mike Leffler of Northern Natural, who I learned 2 days ago that he retired.
Oh.
And he tracked our board meetings for a long time, probably about the time when Mike retired, probably before that. So he's always been a friend of M.U.D. and we'll miss his face in the audience. He comes to all the meetings. We haven't seen him lately because he was sitting in the other room. But I understand Frank Oldenhouse is going to take his spot. I don't see Frank today. He might be watching on TV. But Frank, welcome aboard. Mike, good luck in your retirement.
Tim, thank you for saying that. I had not heard Mike Leffler retired. Usually I hear all those rumors and news about Northern folks, but Mike was a good man. I worked with him at Northern for many years, and I do wish him luck. I'm going to have to contact him and tell him I hope everything goes well for him.
Well, and Mike turned out for our Heat the Street event, and I just appreciate so much how supportive he's been of us, and I've worked with him before when I was down in Lincoln. Always an honorable person, and I appreciate that. Good luck, Mike.
Any other comments? Seeing none, this committee meeting has now concluded. We'll reconvene for the regular monthly board meeting in 10 minutes at, we'll say, 9:25. I would now like to call the regular meeting to order. I'm Jim Begley, the Vice Chair of the M.U.D Board of Directors. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular board meeting this morning on May 3rd, 2023. This meeting is being live streamed from the boardroom at the M.U.D headquarters building located at 7350 World Communications Drive, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the M.U.D website after the meeting's conclusion. Roll call, please.
Sidzik.
Here.
McGowan. McGowan.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Bagley.
Here.
Cook. Friend.
Here.
Open Meetings Act notice. I would like to advise all those in attendance that a copy of the Open Meetings Act, which is amazing reading in the back of the room, is available on the wall for anybody who's interested. Now, if anybody would like to join in the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of minutes for the committee meetings and a regular board meeting for April 5th, 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Item 5, updates to the billing price book resolution. Director McGowan.
Thank you, Director Begley. I move to approve the resolution for the proposed updates to the billing price book as outlined in the memo dated April 25th from Mark Myers and as discussed in committee this morning.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Agenda item number 6, capital expenditures. Director Friend.
Thank you. Item number 6 discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Gina Langle dated April 24th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Item number 7, also discussed in committee, LNG Capital Improvement Project. I move approval as outlined in the memo from James Knight dated April 25th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Item number 8, acceptance of contracts, payment of final estimates, also discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Stephanie Henn dated April 24th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Item number 9, bids on materials and contracts, discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Sherry Meisinger dated April 21st.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Item number 10, also discussed in committee, amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with Olson. I move approval as outlined in the memo from James Bartles dated April 18th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Item number 11, also discussed in committee. This is amendment number 1, Southeast Bellevue Water Main Extension with HDR. Again, discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from James Bartles dated April 18th.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes. Services and Extensions, item 12. Also, this was discussed in committee. I move approval as outlined in the memo from Masa Nia dated April 25th.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes?
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
I'll take items 13 and 14, wage and/or salary increase and ratifications. I move for approval of the wage and/or salary increases and ratifications as discussed in committee this morning and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated April 18th, 2023.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes?
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Item 14, proposed collective bargaining agreement. I move for approval of the proposed collective bargaining agreement as discussed in committee this morning and outlined in Ms. Savine's memo dated April 25th, 2023.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes?
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
Agenda item 15, Director Kavanaugh.
Fourth legislative report for this year shall be placed on file.
Thank you, sir.
It was a lot of work for you, wasn't it?
Item 16, other matters of district business for discussion. Do any board members have any comments they wish to share?
Jim, I'd like to say something. Mike McGowan, I just want to thank my fellow board members and I appreciate their understanding of my need to participate in WebEx this time due to my leg issues, but I plan to be back in June. Thank you very much, everyone.
Wish you well in your recovery, Mike. Sue Lobsiker. Sue, welcome.
Good morning, Sue Lobsiger, Senior Vice President, Chief Information Officer. I just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge a large check, both in size and dollar amount, with a lot of signatures on it out in the foyer of the boardroom this morning. As you all know, the district was fortunate to receive a $10 million grant from the U.S. Pipeline and Hazard Materials Safety Administration, or PHMSA. We thought it'd be fun to invite our employees to sign the check, as many of them will be involved in the gas infrastructure replacement work for which those funds are intended. I wanted to take a little bit of time this morning, too, to thank many employees that were involved in that application process. That was an arduous task in and of itself. In particular, I want to call out our Director of Corporate Communications, Tracy Christensen, and the Vice President of Engineering, Masa Nia. They took lead roles in that effort, and I want to thank them and their colleagues for getting that done. This wouldn't have happened without them. I'd also like to thank our board chair, Director Cook, who, with President Mark Doyle and other district leaders, were able to get down to Lincoln. Got a Photoshop there on April 14th to accept that award. So we're all excited about it. We recognize that the real work is ahead of us. The grant does have some complexities that we need to make sure that we fully understand and that we're compliant with. And we're excited to put those funds to work for the benefit of our customers and the community. And finally, I want to thank all of you for your continued support. And I saw that there is a Sharpie out there by that check, and so invite you also to feel free to sign it at the conclusion of today's meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Any further comments from any board members?
Hey, Jim, will you sign that check for me?
Is that MCGOWAN? Is that how that's?
Correct.
You got it, Mike.
Thank you.
Any members of the public who wish to address the board at this time? Seeing none, I would like to announce that there will be no closed session So board members, please hold your applause. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Friend, or Sidzik,
Yes.
McGowan,
Yes?
Howard,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Friend.
Yes.
We are adjourned.